Hi everybody, Brian from Steeda.com, here today spotlighting our stainless steel braided clutch line for the S550 Ford Mustang. The clutch line is an integral part to the clutch hydraulic system in your car. It connects the clutch master cylinder to the clutch slave cylinder. And the way this works is, when you push down your clutch pedal, the master cylinder transfers or pushes fluid, very similar to the brakes on your car. It's pushing this fluid through the clutch line down to the slave cylinder. And then the slave cylinder is going to push against the throwout bearing, going to push against the fingers on the pressure plate, and ultimately disengage the clutch. This is what allows you to be able to shift. When you let the clutch back out, you get the exact opposite thing happening. The fluid retracts, the clutch engages, and you're on your way. The problem comes in at high RPM use sometimes. You'll notice that it's harder or notchy to shift into gear at high RPM. And one of the reasons that this happens is the factory line uses rubber components as well as steel. The steel isn't the issue, it's the rubber part of the line that tends to expand under high hydraulic loads, meaning as you're trying to shift quickly or when it gets hot or simply ages some. Let me show you a good example. We've all blown up balloons before. And the reality is that when you first start to inflate it, it's difficult because the rubber is trying to keep its shape. But as soon as the rubber starts to expand, the balloon gets much easier to inflate. Here's an example. It became much easier once the balloon started to expand. This is what's happening with your clutch hydraulic line. Okay, it's not gonna quite blow off like that, but you get the idea. As the rubber expands, hydraulic fluid can't move. This means that the clutch slave cylinder isn't disengaging the clutch enough, hard shifting. In comes the Steeda stainless steel braided clutch line. And the advantage to this is that it won't expand because of the braided stainless steel strands. However, because they're braided, the line is still plenty flexible, so it will follow the OE routing. But let's face it, the most important thing here is that when you push in the clutch, there's no expansion, the fluid moves. This means that the slave cylinder expands, this means that the clutch disengages, this means you nail that shift at redline. Have you lost a race because the factory clutch line expanded and locked you out of gear? Comment below and let us know what happened to you. All right, back on topic. The Steeda braided clutch line also gives you much better pedal feedback because you're not having a rubber line that's expanding a little bit with every time you're pushing in the clutch and letting the clutch back out. Very similar to the clutch spring, this is one of those small items that is a great investment in the car. You will feel it with every shift, more importantly, every time you're pushing down the clutch pedal. The next thing to keep in mind is that Ford utilizes quick connects or snap clips, and these simply clip around the outsides of the hydraulic line, and you'll see this as Steve is going through doing the installation. When you're taking these clips out, it's really important that you keep a finger or a thumb, something on them, or a rag around them. We simply call these oh shit clips, and the reason being is because when it flies, that's exactly what you're gonna say. We do offer McLeod replacements because Ford does not. This means that if that spring goes flying and you can't find it, you're really in a lot of trouble. So just go ahead and do yourself a favor, order a couple of these spring clips when you order the line. That way you have some extra insurance. If you don't use them, just keep them in your toolbox or keep them for one of your buddies isn't as smart as you and didn't pay attention to this video. Another part that we strongly recommend replacing at the same time when you're installing the clutch line is the Steeda clutch supply line. This is the line that runs from the brake fluid reservoir to the top of the clutch master cylinder. It is what ultimately feeds the fluid to the clutch master. From the factory, these are not a tight fit. This is actually another source of a loss of pressure simply because they start to wheeze a little bit of fluid. So we have a cure for that. Again, one of these small things that makes a big difference. As noted, installation is really straightforward. Again, you need to be careful of three main things. Obviously, the spring clip, make certain that you don't lose it, or more importantly, make sure you've got a couple extras in case something happens, and let's face it, things do happen. The brake fluid is very caustic, so be very careful while working with it. Be sure to wear gloves and eye protection, in particular when you're under the car releasing that clutch line, because the brake fluid will come out. Make sure that anything that's painted is protected. The last thing is finishing up the installation, bleeding the system. The system really has no way to bleed it, so ultimately what you're going to end up doing is pressing or depressing the clutch pedal and pumping it and pumping it and pumping it. You'll get it just like when the brand new clutch goes in and the shop had to bleed the hydraulic system as it is or replace the clutch slave cylinder. Just continue to pump it. The first so many times you're driving the car, you're likely going to have to pump the clutch pedal as you get in it. That's it. It's really straightforward as you've seen in the video, and it makes a big improvement. If you're not secure in doing this yourself, take it to a shop. Typically going to charge you about an hour to an hour and a half to do the installation, and then you're good to go. Steeda proudly manufactures these clutch lines in the USA, and they're backed by our lifetime warranty because speed matters. If you enjoyed the content of this video, please click like and share it with other enthusiasts. If you'd like to learn more about this particular product among many of the other products that Steeda offers for the Mustang, be sure to visit Steeda.com. Thank you very much for watching, and most importantly, have an awesome day. He knows how much easier it got. That's what happens to the clutch line when you depress it.
You have to blow it up.